Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 16 and a half or episode 17 of Out of Left Field. You can follow us on social media on Out of Left Field Pod uh, on X, and then you can find us as well on Facebook, Out of Left Field Podcast, Instagram, uh, the Jonathan usually does this, so bear with me. We're also on Substack and, of course, youtube.com out of left field. And find us there as well as whenever you get your podcasts. You would notice that this is a solo podcast. No Jonathan today. Hope he feels much better, but that is where it will just be me today. Hope you enjoy our conversation. Lots to talk about here. Going to focus mostly on the Seattle Mariners. They are doing their 50th anniversary celebration. So we'll be focusing on that. By the way, the Twitter handle, OUTTALFPOD. Jonathan has made a little fancy little graphic, which we will have up probably next time he's on, which will probably be this weekend, where we'll do a little bit more focus on the Blue Jays. This one will be mostly on the Seattle Mariners. A couple of other things before we get in there. Three things I just wanted to quickly touch on. Condolences, of course, hard not to reflect a bit on this week on a Canadian icon that passed away, Lloyd Robertson from CTV News. Also, it was CBC News at a time as well. Covered a lot of things. You kind of look at Lloyd Robertson's life, and he's just been around some of those historic moments we all will remember 9/11, um, the passage of, well, the stuff I remember for sure, Princess Diana, prime minister elections, of course, the referendums, the two, one in the 80s, one in 1995, worked a bit with CBC. It was, yeah, that was a shocker. I mean, not when someone is 92, I guess, but it was a bit of just a moment in time of just sort of this end. Feels like in the news world, we're going through an end of an era this summer in a lot of ways. And it just felt like Lloyd Robertson was part of that. I think he's been the soundtrack, the voice that we all remember for part of our generation, a lot of generations in their news, and absolutely has to be on your Mount Rushmore of Canadian newscasters, however you want to put that. That's up to you. But wanted to start there. Also wanted to give a shout out to Kelly Rudy. Unfortunately, Kelly Rudy, and this, I know we are talking baseball, but this is important news. He did announce this week that Sportsnet did not renew his contract, so he will not be part of the Sportsnet broadcast, whatever the title of it is going forward. Sportsnet has announced that they will be revealing their lineup in September, so we'll hear about that from a month away. And Kelly Rudy will not only be missed on the Hockey Night in Canada panel, he is also going to be missed as part of the Calgary Flames broadcast team as well. He, of course, called games with Rick Ball. He's called games with John Abbott as well. So that's a significant loss. And Kelly Rudy also really been a part of Hockey Generation since he's been there for over 30 years. I mean, he used to do when was he was a part of the playing career, his playing career, he would go and do playoff. He would be in the studios doing some playoff analysts, and then he did that full time when he retired. Um, so yeah, lots of great tributes to Kelly Rudy, going through for from people in the industry, people outside the industry, regular folks as well. An advocate for mental health, just a positive person as well, and a great influence. Will we see him again in a hockey commentary role? I wouldn't be surprised. We'll see what happens with that. And of course, you still got to think about the people with dealing with the wildfires in British Columbia and in Spokane. It is just been a kind of a really tough portion of the summer. Still an air quality advisory, and in fact, I believe in Vancouver as well. Just been really hot. We could use a little bit of rain, Lord. And yeah, still some closures around the areas with Highway 91 or 97, pardon me, and Highway 1 as well. So drive with caution wherever you're going as well. So wanted to get those three things out of the way. It was not a good series with the Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers. They lose two of three, including the one on Thursday where they lose 11 to nothing to the Detroit Tigers. Bryce Miller gave up 3 runs in the first inning. He kind of hung in there for the rest of the game. He ends up allowing 4, walked 2, struck out 5, allows a home run. But the Mariners offense really couldn't get anything going again. That's been part of the theme of this year. This offense. This offense, by the way, got shut out for the 11th time this year, which is tied with both the Mets, the Giants, and the Padres as for the most in Major League Baseball. So um, we've talked about their record without a home run. We've talked about how just lackluster their offense has been, and really, other than Julio's 3-run homer on Wednesday and the whole shenanigans with the hit and pitch situation, there was very little emotion from Seattle coming in this series against Detroit. And there was probably an opportunity to pounce here, quite frankly, for the Mariners. And the Tigers traded Tarek Skubal, the Tigers traded Casey Mize, but they seem to their offense is clicking. They have one of the best records in baseball, other than the Boston Red Sox, since June 1st. They're scoring runs at a really great clip right now. Dylan Dingler is hitting home runs. He hit a home run in every game in this series. So you are, yeah, you're dealing with a really feisty Detroit team, but at the same time, it was an opportunity for Seattle to gain some distance. The Blue Jays won their series in Houston, who's in first place. You got to take advantage of these situations as much as you can, and you've got a really tough stretch of games here coming up. Of course, you've got the Tampa Bay Rays coming in for this 50th anniversary celebration. We'll get into that. And then you are on the road for 9. You got the Yankees for 3. You've got the Astros for next weekend, and you've got the Milwaukee Brewers. And then coming home, you've got the Cubs and the Phillies. So this is a bit of a gauntlet for the Mariners. So you wanted to get more wins here, but that just did not happen. And it's just been, again, a concern with this team. Couple of things. Manny Acta was the acting manager today. Gabe Spires has been suspended for 3 games for MLB believing that he intentionally hit Gleyber Torres, or intentionally I'll talk about that in a second. And Dan Wilson was suspended for today's game. That's why Manny Acta was managing today. And I just wanted to quickly talk about Manny Acta before we get into the whole situation that happened on Wednesday. It just was a very interesting tone from Manny Acta. Kind of called out the team, which I really have not seen from Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson's answers for losses has always been, yeah, tough, just a tough day. Kind of, that's sort of been his MO. I think he likes to keep his emotions at an even keel, and I get it. It was good to hear Manny Acta kind of put this team in the front burner here, calling out Bryce Miller for having a tough game, calling out the offense a little bit for saying not helping him out. I don't think that this management group has put this team under any fire here to challenge them to be better. The players have been trying to do it. We've heard that a little bit, especially from Cal Raleigh and Brian Wu, but maybe we need to hear a little bit more of that from the Seattle Mariners management. Maybe that's something. We'll see about that. Let's talk about the situation that happened on Wednesday with the Detroit Tigers. Now, Brian Wu did hit 3 batters, which was a franchise record. Nothing of them was really of any consequence. It hits the legs, ankles. There was nothing of intent. But Gabe Spires pitched to Gleyber Torres. Because he did it not once but twice, I think you had to eject him. I think just at an objective point of view, it was the right call to eject Gabe Spires. At the same time, it was great to see Dan Wilson show some much needed emotion to stand up for Gabe Spires and what was happening over there. And we've seen emotion and we've seen these moments where we hope that the team has turned it around, and we just haven't had that situation yet. So, again, another opportunity there. Um, my thing with all of this hit is I really think that Major League Baseball needs to address the hit batsman that starts the brouhaha. And in this situation, Cal Raleigh took a hit in the stomach. And Angie Mentic did mention in the broadcast that he had a bit of a bruise there. I I don't care if it's a hit in the stomach or a hit in the pitch at the head, and if it's intentional or not. I think you have to start penalizing these in some way. I mean, look, I think hockey has a couple of black and is attempting to have some black and white situations with stick fouls. I think that Major League Baseball needs to take the same stance with hit batsmen. Not if it's like a light hit on the ankle or anything like that, but if you're hitting somebody in the head or above the ribs, I think you have to have a look at this, especially hits in the head or the stomach. That like I really think that those type of hit batsman situations, accidental, intentional or not, you need to start kind of penalizing, giving people warning, because of course there was clearly it felt like some retaliation there, and I totally get that. If you're a Tigers fan, you probably feel that way, and that's totally fine. But again, I don't have a problem with Gabe Spires being ejected. I don't have a problem really with Dan Wilson being ejected, but I have a problem with no warning given to the Detroit Tigers for hitting Cal Raleigh in the stomach. It all has to be in that same little area there, or else it, yeah, or else you're not preventing it. Um, and I don't know, this bench clearing the situation really didn't feel like a lot. Like he really like I was watching players on both the Tiger side and the Mariner side, and just find it kind of felt like they went out for a jog. Like I didn't feel like a whole bunch of intensity to this. Maybe I'm missing something. Comment and let me know. But I didn't feel like there was a lot to it. But it did cause a suspension. Now Spires is appealing his suspension. Wilson served his, so he will be back for the Tampa Bay series. Of course, maybe emotion will come from this weekend. You're playing the best team in the American League, and I think that it's by a very good distance right now. I think the Tampa Bay Rays are my clear favorite to represent the American League in the World Series. They have the best record in the American League with a record of 68 and 46. And yeah, they are well ahead of the Chicago White Sox in terms of first for all the first place leaders. And then you've got the Yankees in terms of the division. They are 4.5 ahead of them. They're just rolling right now. I mean, they were in Colorado getting doing that. So they've won three in a row. So I expect that part. But of course, now it's the 50th anniversary. It's kind of this special moment. You're going to have a lot of people that haven't been around for a while coming back. And one of them, by the way, is Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez will be at the 50th anniversary celebration. He did announce that on Brock and Salk earlier this week. And there is going to be, this is probably the most polarizing Mariner in Mariner history. He left the Mariners for the Texas Rangers for $150 million. And there is going to be a lot of, I think A Rod fully knows there's might be some booing here. And there has been a lot of discussion about this Alex Rodriguez appearance. And I would be one that I'll say what I will be doing. I will be cheering him because it is a night and a weekend of celebration. But I do understand the people that are going to boo Alex Rodriguez. I know that there are some people that are saying, move on, get over it. I think we need to put some context in here. The Seattle Mariners were this close to leaving Seattle. Of course, from the Kingdome days um, to the T-Mobile days. Of course, it was a different name before that, but there was a lot of questions about the future of the Seattle Mariners and that stadium. A-Rod was part of a historic team, and there was a chance to do something really special in Seattle with Alex Rodriguez, and he left. And I think that there's some people that are still going to hold some grudges against him, and I'm not blame anybody for that. Um, Look, there is like in Vancouver, there is going to be some people with some PTSD around teams that move. Don't forget, in Seattle, of course, you guys all know this. Those are in Seattle. The Sonics moved, and they're not. I mean, expected to come back in some point, shape, or form for the NBA, but we don't know that yet. Um, so, um, like A-Rod was part of like a really good part of the Mariners from '94 to 2000. Um, and yeah, I think there's going to be some cheers. There's going to be some boos, and I think that I'm going to respect where everybody has said will be on that. Um, like one of the youngest shortstops in All-Star game history. Um, he provided some great moments. A record for homers and for a shortstop, part of the 40-40 club. Um, like yeah, I he provided some great memories, but he left the team. And before you ask, yes, I would probably leave for $150 million too. But at the same time, it still doesn't mean that people are not going to be hurt by that. Everybody is going to have a very different feeling about where Alex Rodriguez is at. So it will be great to see him. I do hope he's mostly cheered, but I do understand why people will boo. It's an emotional thing. And of course, the Friday will have the home run derby, alumni derby, moderated by Ken Griffey Jr., um, DJ'd by Julio Rodriguez. So and Julio is the energy of this team. He's the complete energy of this organization. When he's going and he's lifting his spirits up, everybody else seems to be following at this point. So I think that will be a fun night, led by Ichiro. Ichiro will be back as well. And then on Saturday, they're going to reveal the top 50 Seattle Mariners. So as we know, A-Rod will be there. We did get word that Kyle Seager had some other commitments and will not be there. I'm going to leave it to you whether you get angry with him or not. I don't know his situation. Would it be great to see Kyle Seager there? Yes. But I think I can't comment on whether and what's going on there. Wish he as well. But it led me to wanted to do something here. So I go back to the Calgary Cannons when the Calgary Cannons were the Seattle Mariners farm club, played at what was called then at the time Foothill Stadium, turned into Burns Stadium, and of course is no longer a stadium in Calgary anymore. So that's where I go back for my Seattle Mariner fandom. Comes from the Calgary Cannons. So I remember some of the great players and played in Seattle, and kind of have been following as closely as I can. And I wanted to give, of course, there's reveal our top 50. I'm not going to go through my top 50, but I'm going to give you my top five all-time Seattle Mariners. And well, I'll go from five to one. And I'm going to give talk about a couple of honorable mentions. I do think A-Rod needs to be in the conversation. Of course, he done some historic things. Of course, we talked about his AL record for shortstops, hits for shortstops. He hit for he was the second Mariner to hit for the cycle. Fifth youngest player in history to accomplish that. Um, yeah, AL MVP, all of that. I think he definitely has to be there. I think there's conversations definitely around Felix Hernandez being there. Was certainly the best pitcher for the Mariners from the 2010 to 2020s. Um, if the team was better, I think there would be some better notoriety there. But I think he needs to be in the conversation. I think Jay Buhner needs to be in the conversation. He's just a treat to listen to as part of the Mariners broadcast, by the way. Just brings a bit of a good toughness and a good soul. I've enjoyed listening to Jay Buhner. I think he definitely has to be in that conversation. He is part of the Mariners Hall of Fame. He will definitely be high up in the Mariners rankings. I think there's no question about that. I think you can consider Alvin Davis, who was a longtime Seattle Mariner as well. So those are some of the nominees. But I'm ultimately for number five. I decided that it was should be Cal Raleigh. And the reason I say it's Cal Raleigh is because, of course, he hits the record for home runs for catcher last year for 60. He's in the MVP race last year with Aaron Judge. But not only that, he has hit some of the most important. He's made some of the most important plays in Seattle Mariner history, including the Game 5 home run against Toronto, that eighth inning solo shot, putting the Mariners in the playoffs in September 30th, 2022. The comeback home run against Toronto in the wild card series. The clutch double play in the ALCS Game 5 as well. He's just done so much that it's hard for me not to put him in number five. So I have Cal Raleigh at number five. Um, I think you can make some arguments about other people, but I don't think that there's anybody more important, making the more important plays overall during, especially with this renaissance of the Mariners, than Cal Raleigh. Number four is a player that was honored earlier this year. I believe he is the best pitcher in Seattle Mariners history. He is a former Montreal Expo. It is Randy Johnson. Um, I, I'm glad that they have worked out that relationship, especially this year. Um, I think the guy was an absolute tower of power. Acquired for Mark Langston. Overall, 303 wins, 166 losses. Um, but he's just was scary, scary pitcher, and just an absolute legend. Yeah, I think he's the best pitcher in Mariners history, and he is my number four for me. Yeah, number four for me would be Randy Johnson. Looking at some of his Seattle numbers, he was there from 19 he was there from 1990 to 19 sorry, give me a second here. He was there from 1990. Of course, he was acquired as part of the um, Mark Langston trade. And yes, of course, he was part of the Arizona Diamondbacks winning the World Series in 2001. Yeah, just a great legend, but he is definitely number four for me, a best pitcher, Randy Johnson. Number three is a guy that I did see play with the Calgary Cannons all those years ago, and he was a great hitter then. He ended up being a great hitter overall, and that is Edgar Martinez. Best hitter in best uh, third best hitter, I would say, in Mariners history. Of course, we'll talk about the two before that. Um, Great hitter, just of course ended up having to be a DH for the rest of his career because of injuries, but he was a great, yeah, he was one of the best hitters in the game. I think it was tragic how he never found his way into the Hall of Fame for a while, but finally they got that right. That took way too long for that to happen. He served as a designated hitter for the Mariners and a third baseman from 1987 to 2004. So he certainly has the uh, strength for that. Of course, let's not forget the double, of course, and of course his career year in 1995, full-time designated hitter. But he in June that year, 402, 537, 66, 70, 61 for that month, selected to the All Star game. And then the double, of course, it was in the 1995 American League Division Series against the Yankees. He hits 571 that year, reaches that series 18 times. He reaches bases. He hits a 3-run home run and then a grand slam home run that wins that series 11-8. I was actually in Seattle. I was at a concert for that. And it was just uh, a lot to remember. That was an exciting game, and of course the double, of course, in game five, down 5-4 in the 11th, 2-run double off Jack Mandel, winning the game and wins the Mariners to their first ever American League Championship Series. He has of course, his name is on the left field there. Edgar's, yeah, he is third for me, and yeah, absolutely. Um, Absolute legend. Mariano Rivera said he is the only guy I didn't want to face when a tough situation comes. So Edgar was clutch, one of the best hitters in not only in Mariners history, but in baseball history. Number two is Ichiro. He was, what a story in 2001. That guy could hit pretty much any way that you needed him to. And of course, he hit for average, but he did, like, if you went to batting practices, he hit for power as well during that. So, um, just was one of the most exciting players, not only offensively, but defensively as well. He, yeah, he is, yeah, just an incredible player. Three 385 average when he was in the Pacific League in 1994, and then when he comes to uh, he wins the Rookie of the Year and the AL MVP from 2001. Of course, he's with the Mariners from 2001 to 2012. Then he goes on to the New York Yankees. He sets the single season hit record in 2004. Uh, Most hits, 257. Um, yeah, 2,000 professional hit and during that year as well. Um, One of the most unique swings, one of the most unique players we've seen in Seattle Mariner history, but Ichiro is definitely number two. And number one is a no brainer. It's Ken Griffey Jr. It is just an absolute legend for me. Um, One of the best players to ever play the game, period. One of the best swings. I would say him and Barry Bonds had the two best swings of all time that I ever saw. Um, that like he just was a special talent when he came, and they knew that Junior was a kid, was a star right from the moment that he got there. Um, and then he was with the Mariners from 89 to 99, of course, went to the Reds for a while as well. Then he had a return stint with the Mariners back in 2009, 2010. I think it is a crying absolute shame that Ken Griffey Jr. is not a unanimous Hall of Famer. Um, that is ridiculous to me that he did not get an unanimous vote. Uh, I think that is just in, insane. So, but inducted in 2021. He's part of the Mariners ownership group. He is still part of the community, and yeah, what can you say about Ken Griffey Jr. that hasn't been said before? Just an absolute legend. So those are my top five all-time Mariners. We'll see what the list is. I would suspect it's pretty close to that. But yeah, so one Griffey, two Ichiro, three Edgar, four Randy Johnson, five Cal Raleigh would be my list. So it is pretty much it for the Mariners. If I could touch a little bit on the Blue Jays, they did come away with a series win against the Houston Astros, as I said, and they did lose to the White Cubs, pardon me, in 11th, in 11 and 3-2. So, uh, yeah, that was in extra innings. So that puts the Blue Jays in currently the wild card standing because they did have a good week in Houston. They're still 3.5 out and still have to climb 4 teams. But um, who knows, right? They're in Philadelphia here for the weekend. Philadelphia's bullpen is an absolute mess. So we'll see what happens there. Trey Savage is on the IL with an injury, so that's one thing to note. They claimed Matt Waldron off waivers, um, and yeah, so we'll spend a little bit more time talking about the Blue Jays and DTL with Jonathan here, but that's a couple of things to watch out for the Blue Jays. And next time Jonathan is on as well, we'll talk about the Women's Pro Baseball League, which is opening up here. We'll spend a little bit of time on that as well and some other Canadian baseball. But we'll leave it here for now. You've heard me talk by myself for far too long, half an hour. You can follow me personally on all social media at KEVOLE. You can follow Jonathan on all social media at Haji Speaks. You can follow us again on the X at O. Sure, I have this right here. OUTTLALFPOD. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Substack, YouTube, subscribe wherever you get your audio as well. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. And we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.